What's going on? Yuri here, surrounded by construction, trees being chainsawed down, taking the dogs for a walk on a brisk morning. I want to talk with you about having resources versus being resourceful. I want to share a quick little story with you. I was on an Alaskan cruise last summer with my wife, and she ventured up into, she had an excursion for a day. And her guide was telling her about the early Klondike explorers, right? So the people who first discovered gold up into like Alaska and that whole area. And man, if you hear about this story, now I'm not going to obviously do it justice because I don't even know the details, but the things that these initial early explorers did, going into a new frontier, not knowing the weather, not knowing the surroundings, not knowing the conditions, having no clue of what they are getting into, the number of people that lost their lives in pursuit of gold is insane. And like, it's a really great example of how like a lot of these people probably didn't have the resources, right? They weren't sitting on millions of dollars. They didn't, venture out with, Canada Goose jackets and warm blankets, and they just went to figure it out in the pursuit of something bigger. And I think it's a great example of resourcefulness, of not having the resources, but being resourceful enough to make it happen somehow. The reason I bring this up is because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people, they're looking for excuses to not move forward, right? So they're saying, well, I don't have the money to do this, or I don't have the money to do that. And that may or may not be true. But the reality is, if you don't have the money, there's other ways of making things happen, right? So if you don't have resources to hire a coach or hire an agency to run ads for you or hire a graphic designer, then some of that stuff you're going to have to figure out on your own initially, right? Just kind of makes sense. A great example of this is getting questions. If you ever get questions like this from some of your clients, this is a perfect example. How do I do this? Or how do I set up a page on ClickFunnels? Or how do I make an adjustment to this particular software? Like, a lot of times those questions, the answer is on Google, or you open up a chat window with the platform, and guess what they have? Customer support to answer your questions. What a thought, right? So anytime you're, anytime you're stuck, anytime you're unsure of something, it's not about throwing necessarily more money at the problem. If you have it, great, because really, if you have enough money, you can solve a lot of problems. But otherwise, just ask. Figure out a way to solve the problem. Lean into someone for support. Ask a question. Ask a mentor. Jump onto chat with the platform. Ask Google. Google is a great resource. Google is a great resource for answers to your questions. So please don't use the excuses of, I don't know how to do this, I don't have enough money for this. Listen, the only thing that matters at the end of the day is your desire. That's the biggest predictor of your success. You will figure it out if your desire to figure it out is strong enough. And if it's not, then you're gonna have a story and you're gonna have excuses that are gonna hold you back for way too long, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so I'm going to continue my walk. Hope this message makes sense for you. Let me know your thoughts on being resourceful versus having resources. I personally think being resourceful is one of the most important criteria that I look for in a potential client or a team member. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you soon.